Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of Build and Grow Money Matters, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieve financial growth, resilience, as well as innovation. Now, as businesses continue to revive and pivot to newer models in these times, your story is proud to partner with HSBC for yet another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations from some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem to help businesses power the next phase of growth and business continuity. Now, today joining us for this very interesting discussion is Karthik Venkateshwaran, who is the co-founder and CEO at Jumbo Tail, and Ashish Jina, who is the COO and co-founder at Jumbo Tail. For all the audience out there, Jumbo Tail is a leading B2B marketplace and a new retail platform that is empowering India's Kirana stores. So, without any further ado, let me straight dive into the conversation. I want to bring you in, Karthik, to talk to us about the kind of journey it's been so far for Jumbo Tail. So, and if you could run us through what the key milestones have been for the company so far.
Well, thank you, Priya, for this incredible opportunity. Your story has been a great platform. Thank you for showcasing us to the rest of the world and helping us explain our story. It has been an incredible journey, very impactful. And right now, we are scaling rapidly across nations. So whatever we proved in a few markets until December, now we are 6 to 10x of the cities that we were present, and it's a very fulfilling journey at this point. And also during this COVID, empowering the Kirana store owners and entrepreneurs who are also in the forefront of serving the end consumer during the times of the need. Because as you are aware, there is no mall shopping possible, and e-commerce, the B2C e-commerce can only take that much of capacity and load. The mom and pops retailers are taking the risk, keeping their shops open, serving the consumers as they've always been doing, and we helping them do their business in a more efficient way. Being available for them is a very fulfilling journey. COVID has also reshaped certain contours of business and putting the mom and pop right in the heart of all of the grocery universe. Now everybody is talking about them. Everybody has understood their value. And the brands are also finding opportunities to work with us in a more meaningful way. And because the other parts of the distribution system has actually collapsed or being severely impacted or undermined by COVID. So the whole ecosystem is relying on platforms like Jumbo Tail, and we are in the heart of solving problems for many people.
Ashish, let me bring you in out here to talk to us about the landscape over the last couple of months. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The retail ecosystem has clearly evolved over the last couple of months. So from your perspective, I want to understand what's the kind of evolution that's happened in the whole retail supply chain, and how has it changed the way consumers really shop?
I think every large, change, every large cataclysmic event, obviously, forces everybody to question, the way the status quo operates. And I think we've seen this obviously with COVID, which has been a large humanitarian tragedy, but also has really changed the way businesses look at the landscape. We've seen this in the past with demonetization. We've seen this in the past with, even GST implementation. So every shock in the system actually, forces everybody to look at the ecosystem and look at, are there ways to do things differently? I think COVID's been no exception. I often tell people, I think in the public imagination and in the share of, square inches in media or, number of minutes of coverage, I guess, the Kirana is finally back in the true space that the Kirana should actually occupy. I mean, I think, Kirana's occupied 90% of share of volume and trade in food and grocery in India. That has not always been the case in terms of, public imagination. I think COVID has brought that back. What has also happened is, companies on the FMCG side have especially realized that, existing distribution networks and wholesale markets don't necessarily operate in the same ways as they would expect, especially when human contact is not possible, right? So it has made digitization and, looking at new mechanisms, something that is now a CEO level agenda, right? Every single board call, every single, analyst call in the FMCG space is now talking about digitization. So, what that has resulted in is created an incredible space for companies like ours, which are reimagining the way that the ecosystem works. Karthik's mentioned some ideas around how we do that. Allowing retailers to actually order from the comfort of their homes, not having to interact with hundreds of distributors. We've seen nearly a doubling of our FMCG sales. We're onboarding retailers across cities, not only opening new cities, but even within those cities at an unprecedented scale. And we're seeing a long list of brands reaching out to us We already work with all the top FMCG brands in the country, as well as a lot of regional brands. But the level of enthusiasm and the level of almost excitement, and in some cases even desperation, where existing networks are not working, means that we are have a long list of brands and products waiting to be onboarded. And I'm happy to report that we've been able to dramatically increase the scale of operations throughout that. Great testament to the incredible ingenuity and the entrepreneurial energy of our teams on the ground, as well as a lot of the technology and processes that we've invested over the last 5 years. That suddenly, when this opportunity came in, we've been able to scale the business dramatically while keeping service levels intact. We have the highest net promoter score of all suppliers to kiranas in the ecosystem, and we've managed to do that even in the face of situations like stores only being open 4 hours a day, even though demand has significant amount of demand has come to us as distributors are not able to reach stores, or wholesale markets remain closed. So all in all, I think huge changes in the ecosystem. COVID has probably changed the digitization and journey of the food and grocery ecosystem by at least 3 to 5 years.
Well, one thing that this pandemic has clearly taught everybody is that it is the survival of the fittest in the whole retail ecosystem. So I wanted to understand from your perspective, Ashish, if you could run us through what really supply chain resilience really means in this kind of ecosystem.
So many things, Priya. I think, first thing is obviously, there's a lot of technology that we have built. There's a lot of in-house processes. We have the lowest cost supply chain for food and grocery in the day. And that has come from really leveraging the power of technology, ground up thinking, first principles thinking, and also having an incredible culture in the team where, they really look at this as not just moving product from point A to point B. A lot of times, I think Karthik used to, early on in the life of the company, we used to go and he would address the loaders who are picking up 50 kg sacks in the fulfillment centers, right? And he would tell them, you're not lifting a 50 kg sack, you're lifting the hopes of a nation, and you're doing a national duty. And that's very important, right? I think obviously the technology, the ability to actually make sure that when demand changes, your systems are able to deal with that. For example, during COVID, during lockdowns, sometimes the value ordered by a single customer, on average went up by 4x, right? The amount of time to deliver went down, to 40% of the overall time. Yet, we were able, because of the ability for technology systems to actually modify routing to make sure that we are able to combine orders, we were able to do all of that. But nothing can really take the place of ensuring that your teams actually view their jobs as more than just a job, right? As a responsibility to their communities and nations. Because when people are scared for their lives, no amount of money or no amount of incentives can actually do that. You have to model behavior. A lot of our leadership teams have been out in the field, all throughout the pandemic, obviously with proper safety measures in place. We've been very, very aggressive in terms of making sure all our teams are vaccinated as quickly as possible, and making sure that we've remained open every single day during the pandemic. And that is a function of both the technology, the processes, but also the culture that really looks at it as more than just a job, and also a national responsibility in a time of need when other people are not able to serve the customer.
Well, I want to bring you in here, Karthik, to try to understand, because I do understand that you have an SME lending platform as well. So from your perspective, if you could tell us what kind of spending patterns are shaping up when it comes to kirana stores as well as customers. So if you could give us the balance between the two.
Sure. So, just to give a broad overview, we have actually 4 platforms before we go into lending platform itself, because all of them works in unison. It's important to understand how the synergies are built from a technology platform perspective. So we have fundamentally the marketplace platform that connects the mom and pop kirana stores to thousands of products that they want to buy sold through sellers and brands. And then we have a supply chain in-house. We operate fulfillment centers, we operate distribution centers. We do last mile storefront delivery in 24 to 48 hours. And then we have a fintech platform. We connect lenders who have the ability to actually lend on the platform to these mom and pops, and these mom and pops lend, borrow and draw down from the working capital credit line that we enable for them, and then they pay for the transactions in the marketplace. And then we have a retail platform that actually transforms all of these mom and pops into modern convenience retail stores, put point of sale, do inventory management, connects them online to offline, integrates these stores with hyperlocal platforms like Dunzo, and also having our own J24 store online portal for connecting the consumer order. So there is a marketplace, there is a logistics supply chain platform, there is a fintech platform, there is a retail platform. So when we of our fintech platform rides on top of most of these things. So when we are able to actually, the way we are able to lend is because we deeply understand not just the customer behavior, we also acquire the customers upfront. We have a transaction relationship with the customer, then we deliver the goods to the customer. So all of our collections or all of our delivery of credit happens on top of our supply chain without any additional costs. And we also deeply understand about our customers. Plus, on the cases where we have point of sale, we also understand the consumer demand side of the same store. So we are even able to lend better when we are offering them the point of sale technology, and also be a part of the cash flows from the consumer. What kind of spend that we have typically seen, right? So the first thing is like the mom and pop. One fundamental insight that we gained, long ago, is that if you offer a very valuable service, the mom and pop service is less likely to default on credit. It's a very important insight because in India there is no enforcement of contract and stuff. So when you start lending, that becomes like a setting the flywheel. So he needs money to spend, and people who have typically seen and were able to take a credit, they often have 20 to 50% higher wallet share than whatever the customers who are not availing credit. And we are very, very selective in making the credit, make it available for the mom and pop. And we also underwrite not based on standard signals that other industry leaders do, but also the signals that we alone, including the qualitative signals when we make visits to the stores for doing a delivery, we observe and we factor in all of those things into our credit and lending purchases, and also the consumer data. So whatever we have seen is that when we lend, the ability for the Kirana stores to actually buy from our platform significantly increases. One, he's able to try 25, 30, 40% new products that he has never really seen before in the platform, right? So you would otherwise not try because there is no credit. And the friction for that is over. Plus, he is actually, rotating his capital faster. If you look at the alternative world that he's in, he's maintaining credit relationship with hundreds of traders and distributors. Now, the fact that he's actually maintaining a good relationship with a few distributors doesn't help him get credit from the next distributor. He has to still start from zero. The transference of his credit history and patterns doesn't work. In our case, once he's established a credit relationship with Jumbotail platform, it doesn't matter which SKU, which seller, he's able to use that credit product, right? This is a very fundamental change in the behavior of the mom and pops. On the lender side, they get like almost, other than bringing the capital, every single thing is done by our technology, our platform, and our processes. So they see one of the lowest NPAs. So our NPAs are like a fraction of the industry NPAs, about 0.3, 0.4% of the total volume that we ever lent in the platform. And it is unheard of such kind of NPAs in the market. And that is because of the fact that we are able to understand deeply our customer, both from qualitative and quantitative, on a daily transaction relationship we enjoy, compared to lenders who just lend the money and don't know what the money is being put to use for.
Right, interesting insight out there. Ashish, I want to talk to you about the cash flow situation, considering that cash flow is perhaps the lifeblood of any business, and there are a lot of concerns around, employees and the vendors when it comes to the overall cash flow situation. So run us through how you all went about managing the entire cash flow situation and how you will plan to manage it, because the pandemic continues as we speak.
So Priya, I think unlike a lot of other businesses, we're in a category which actually sales actually went up dramatically. So cash flow rotation actually became faster, and and in fact our concern was always acquiring enough material to serve customers faster rather than the other way around. So I think that's one thing that where we probably been very different in by virtue of the business that we operate in. It's a very fast turnaround, low cash requiring business, right? The second thing is we have some of the best, sellers on our marketplace have some of the best inventory turns in the industry, often 2x, 3x better than what they would do in other places. So cash flows generally have not necessarily been, as much of an issue for us. We've also been an extremely frugal company, always. We've always valued the the fact that we built a business on probably the lowest amount of capital for the amount, the scale that that we've been able to build out. And so when the pandemic hit, I mean, this was definitely something that helped us. Obviously, there are concerns. When something happens and people have not expected it, you have to also over communicate and make sure that everybody is clear about what's happening in the business, especially with sellers and vendors, etc. That's where teams were out and about. I think we encourage teams to really model the behavior not only for stakeholders like vendors and sellers, but also for internal teams who many times, I mean, many of us may have had the luxury of operating from, a work from home environment, but when you're going out and delivering to, tens of thousands of stores, that's not always possible. And so even senior leadership across the company really spent a lot of time on the ground, really modeling the right behaviors to all stakeholders, internal and external. And that, creates a lot more confidence than anything else as well. So I think we've been very fortunate, both by virtue of the industry that we are in, the model that we operate, but also, because a lot of, people have really stepped up and, stepped above and beyond their daily responsibilities to, take on leadership roles. And that creates a lot more confidence in the ecosystem. At the end of the day, for our customers, they derived a lot of confidence from the fact that we remained open all the time. We continue to serve them in with high degrees of service levels, despite lockdowns, despite availability constraints, etc. We actively worked with brands to make sure that we even sometimes picked up from their factories. So a lot of new innovations came up through this process to make sure that even despite increasing demand, we were able to continue to fulfill, and therefore cash flow wasn't necessarily a concern.
Right. Karthik, I want to bring you in to understand the learnings from the pandemic that you may have had. Maybe if you could highlight the top 3 learnings that you've had from this pandemic so far.
The first learning that I think I've always known, but again got reinforced, when you want to solve really very large problems, building a team of high character absolutely is paramount. Because when the going gets tough, who's going to stand up and fight, especially in the kind of pandemic like Ashish mentioned, right? You can't motivate any amount of people to go and risk their lives with any amount of money. They have to walk out. And in a business like ours, if you don't do the delivery and if you don't do the actual movement on the ground or open and operate those stores or help the partners operate, there is no business to be made. And in that sense, the kind of culture that we actually invested in over the last 5 years, like of treating even a loader all the way to one of the most, say high-tech employee in the company or the on management level people, all the same, and investing in human capital actually really paid us off very well. And I think it just reinforces that people are the only inputs that we control. Second one is that I think that one of the most underrated things in a startup is the just sheer ability to survive. I think if you honestly think about it, the longer you survive, the more opportunities that will open up, and we have seen that in the happening. And in this pandemic, there are several occasions in this pandemic in different markets at different periods of time in which most competitors stopped operating, and only we were the last ones to operate. And we saw what it means to be the last man standing in this game, what it means to earn that customer trust. What does it even mean? Say, so for example, if all of the city's demand today come to you, do we have the technology to fulfill it? Right? What does it take to serve that? What are the gaps? Like, what does it even mean to be the market leader, right? We were momentary times. We saw the future 5 years from now when we would be the last man standing. And we also saw that glimpse, right? That was extremely motivating. So we knew you could basically walked into 5 years from now and saw what the future is going to look like. And now we know what we are building for. Now we know that feeling. So that's a very important. And the third one is like, we always, believed technology is eating everything, honestly. And everything has to become, so it is not like pure tech, and tech is not about replacing human beings. Tech is about enabling human beings, empowering human beings, and more so in our business, whether it is a supply chain picker packer who's like doing the pick, pack, and ship of the product, or the retail store who's actually operating his store using a high-tech POS or whatever. Technology is actually is just proliferating everywhere. And if you invest in technology, And if you continue to invest in these technologies, the fastest way of actually scaling businesses and fastest and the most capital efficient way. So continuing to invest in technology and remain invested in technology, no matter what short-term goals that you may get, is the only recipe to long-term success. Like, and also it also means that not just building technology, but also building teams that will use technology, and even a tech-oriented picker or a loader is the requirement of the hour to win the game. Not just an app, right? It's a tech-oriented picker. If he doesn't know how to use that app and do that picking properly, it's going to be different. So, investing in human capital, seeing that what does it mean to be the last man standing, and a tech-enabled future is what we could say that the biggest lessons.
I think just a couple of examples that I would
Right.
add here, right, on to illustrate that point. One, we've from day one invested in building the technology that removes the need for a human being to go to a store and take orders, right? And we are actually the only company in the country, and perhaps the world, where 100% of orders on the B2B platform come where the retailer himself goes to the app and orders, right? And a lot of people have told us, why don't you put a sales force on the ground? Why don't you actually do all of these things? And we said, because the future will be one where retailers must order unassisted, right? There are huge cost benefits, but there's also ability to create huge, better frequency, more loyalty, understand better about the requirements of the retailer. When COVID struck, suddenly it became impossible for people to send sales forces to the ground. Now that's an investment that we've been making over the last 5 years, right? So suddenly, that becomes, it became the only way that retailers were able to order, and that's an investment that's paid off big time during that. Similarly, in investing in building processes and templates and playbooks. Today, we are able to open a city in less than 7 days from wanting to open operations in a new city. We're able to turn a traditional Kirana store into a modern J24 store in less than 48 hours. And these are things that make the business a lot more scalable, make the business a lot more capital efficient. And these are things that you have to almost believe in beforehand. And then, as Karthik said, if you survive long enough, always there's opportunities, and there's many businesses around the world that are now finding that moment where if you're ready and you're prepared, when lightning strikes, magic can happen. And that's what we've definitely seen over the last couple of years. And I think it's only accelerated the future that we believe is inevitable and is coming on its way very, very quickly.
Right. On that note, I want to talk to you about the future of Jumbotail. And I've been looking at the kind of fundraising activities that y'all have been doing. And I believe y'all did raise a recent fund as well, a round of funding as well in June. So Karthik, tell us a little bit about the whole thought process in terms of how these funds are going to be utilized, and what is the kind of roadmap out there that you have?
See, at this point, the first $25 million of capital or so that we had raised prior to last year, December, we focused in getting a couple of regions absolutely right in terms of achieving operational profitability, building the full stack of technology, investing in culture, and building the right processes, and absolutely ready to scale. And as a testament to whatever we had built, in the last 6 months, we have nearly opened 13 more cities, and we have have an enabled reach to nearly 50 plus tier 3, tier 4 towns, and that's just compared to 2 cities or so in December. So now that's where the capital is being put to good use, right? So the capital is being put to use for first of all, continue to hire talent because we have to build for the future, and we need to invest and attract the best talent. And second is scaling the business. And scaling the business for us right now, as we have seen actually factually, is that it doesn't require much capital for us, because we already have those terms of trade. We already are profitable in at least one big major city, which is the absolute hyper competitive market that you can never imagine, Bangalore. So now scaling to new geographies, so long as we have got the capability to open like a new city in 7 to 10 days, is where we already have demonstrated the capability, and we are opening that. And continue to invest in technology because the place where we really want to be, right, ultimately, what are we building? We are building the world's largest grocery network, period. There's nothing less. We touch the end consumers through our J24 stores all the way to manufacturers and farmer producer organizations through our marketplace, and some of the brands that we enable to sell on our platform. So in this entire value chain, we are playing across every value chain between the manufacturer and the retailer, and the retailer and the consumer. And tremendous amount of technology innovations are required to completely reorganize this entire value chain. And we are the leaders. We are the only company in India today that is exclusively and single-mindedly thinking about this value chain without any distractions. Every other player, you name it, either it's an additional category for them or it's like additional business line for them. They're a B2C company, they want to dump goods in B2B, they are present there. Irrespective of whatever they say, we see ourselves as having the calling, and that's why our company name is, the tagline is Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Dukan. We say without the soldiers, there's no protection. Without the farmers, there's no production. But without the retailer, there's no consumption. These mom and pop people are the economic engine of our country. So we are placing them at that pedestal, and that is what we are solving for. And in order to do this, we need to invest in technology, and that is what we are going to do. And we're going to continue to scale the operations, and we are seeing tremendous progress in that direction.
Right, Ashish, what are your thoughts in terms of what kind of future you see for Jumbotail? Anything specifically that you would like to focus on in terms of building the next leg of growth for the company?
I think Karthik captured the ambition. I mean, the ambition is every aspect of food and grocery, not only in the country but in the world, is what we want to be an integral component of. We believe we have what it takes to actually make it happen. And we're extremely excited about where we're seeing the future headed, and we're going out all guns blazing to make it happen as quickly as possible.
Will you be going for another round of funding then soon?
See, we are always looking for good partners to join us on this journey. We don't need the capital at this point. I think we're well capitalized at this point. But when you have ambitions as large as we do, capital definitely helps you progress in that path, and we take it as it goes.
Right. Since the show is called Money Matters, I want to ask both of you this one question, and I want to begin with you, Karthik. What is your relationship with money like?
My personal relationship with money, I have served in the Indian military for 10 years, and I have actually put my life in very, very grave danger for a pittance. Right, I was in Siachen Glacier, counterterrorism, counterinsurgency, very, very difficult conditions. So I have never been personally motivated by money, but operating Jumbotail, and especially in a business with the mom and pop entrepreneurs who are operating, fairly very tight businesses, I have learned to respect money. So I've learned to respect money. So it is. I'm not motivated by money personally. Jumbotail is not motivated by money. We believe that if you create an impact in a very, very large market where every ecosystem player benefits, money will be incidental. We believe that this is a 100 billion opportunity, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And these are very hard businesses to build. And once you get to a scale, that itself is a moat. But then we have learned to respect money. Every dollar in our company counts. And we ask very hard questions, and irrespective of we may raise $1 billion of capital, that is not required. But if we raise, we will still spend as frugal as what we are today, because we have come a very, very hard way of actually building the business the right way.
Right. I'm going to ask Ashish a final question. The same question. What is your relationship with money like? And if I may add, how would you like to make it grow?
So I think Karthik and I are very, very similar in the sense that, we both come from very, very, humble backgrounds. Money was never really, widely available when we were growing up. So, but, I think we were both very fortunate to be doing very well monetarily before, we started Jumbotail. So money has never really been a personal motivator, right? I think money is an outcome of, outcomes that you create. I think both of us and a lot of people at Jumbotail, right? I mean, are motivated by the glory that will come from creating a company that will stand the test of time, a multi-generational company that will change hundreds of millions of people's lives. And when we achieve that, money will come, right? I don't. When we're operating in a market, which is close to $1 trillion, even moderate success will create huge amounts of money and huge amounts of wealth for people. And we are not aiming for moderate success. We are aiming for domination in this space, and we believe that when success comes, and it may take its time, but we're definitely going to build a very large company. From a money perspective, I think both Karthik and I talk about our aspirations. We would like employees and team members in this company to become fantastically wealthy through the process, and hopefully deploy that money back into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think that that to us, for both Karthik and I speak on his behalf as well, is a big dream, right? We want hundreds of companies to be generated by people who have made money through the process of success, making Jumbotail successful. We want our suppliers, our partners to make money. We want our Kirana partners to become wealthy so that they can realize their dreams. And I think that's how we make it grow. I think the way to make it grow is to create tremendous value, and then there's enough to share with everybody. And hopefully society benefits from that outcome by new companies coming out, people being able to deploy that money to achieve their dreams. That's the goal.
All right. On that note, gentlemen, many thanks for being a part of this very insightful conversation. I'm sure all the people listening to this conversation will have many, many insights to take from this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us, Priya.